The CIA has spent decades researching the most disturbing, mind-bending possibilities of human consciousness. Experiments so secretive, most people have never even heard of them. We're talking about classified projects that tested mind control, psychic abilities, and even altering reality itself. And here's the terrifying part. These weren't just theories. Many of these experiments were real, documented, and left behind a trail of shattered lives. Some subjects had their memories wiped. Others were turned into human puppets without even knowing it. And while the government claims these projects ended long ago, leaked documents suggest otherwise. If these are just the cases that have been declassified, what could they be doing now with today's advanced technology? Stay with me. Before we get into the most shocking cases, you need to understand why the CIA was so obsessed with controlling the human mind. At the height of the Cold War, intelligence agencies weren't just interested in weapons and spies. They wanted to control people at the deepest level possible. They wanted soldiers who could follow orders without question, spies who could erase their own memories, and operatives who could use their minds as weapons. This wasn't just paranoia. The US government feared that other nations, particularly the Soviet Union, were already experimenting with similar techniques. The goal was simple. If they didn't crack the secrets of human consciousness first, their enemies would. And that's how projects like MKUltra, Stargate, and even more disturbing experiments began. Now let's break down the most disturbing, classified experiments the CIA has ever conducted on human consciousness, many of which remain shrouded in secrecy to this day. 1. MKUltra, the mind control nightmare. MKUltra wasn't just a government experiment. It was a psychological war against its own people. Launched in the 1950s, this program was designed to see how far the human mind could be manipulated through drugs, torture, and hypnosis. The CIA didn't just theorize about mind control, they actively tested it on unsuspecting victims, including civilians, prisoners, and even their own operatives. LSD was their weapon of choice. The agency dosed people without their knowledge, forcing them into terrifying hallucinations. Some subjects were locked in rooms for weeks with no light, no sound, and no human contact, until they completely lost their sense of reality. Others were subjected to electric shocks so intense that they forgot who they were. The goal, to break down a person's mind to the point where they could be reprogrammed. While the government claims MKUltra ended in the 1970s, many researchers believe it never really stopped. The only difference is that now, the experiments have become more advanced, relying on psychological warfare, subliminal messaging, and technology we can't even begin to understand. 2. Project Bluebird, breaking the human will. Before MKUltra, there was Project Bluebird, a predecessor program that explored methods to completely control a person's mind. The CIA wanted to find ways to force prisoners to reveal secrets, confess to crimes they never committed, and even betray their own allies. They used experimental drugs, extreme isolation, and psychological torture to break their subjects. Some victims were kept awake for days on end, bombarded with flashing lights and relentless noise until their brains gave out. Others were injected with substances that caused intense paranoia and hallucinations, making them question what was real and what wasn't. The agency even experimented with hypnosis, trying to implant fake memories so deep that subjects believed them to be real. If this was just the early stage of their research, imagine what they discovered when their methods became more advanced. The idea that an entire population could be manipulated without knowing it suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched. 3. Operation Midnight Climax, drugging the public. This was one of the CIA's most insane and unethical projects because it didn't just happen in secret labs, it happened on the streets. Under Operation Midnight Climax, the agency set up fake brothels in cities like San Francisco and New York, where unsuspecting men were lured in and then secretly drugged with LSD. Hidden cameras recorded everything. The goal was to see how people reacted to mind-altering substances without them knowing, and whether they could be manipulated into revealing secrets or making decisions they normally wouldn't. This wasn't just a handful of experiments, it went on for years. The CIA justified this by saying it was for national security, but in reality, they were using innocent people as test subjects, stripping them of their free will without their consent. And if they were willing to do that in public, what were they doing in their classified facilities? 4. Project Artichoke, creating the perfect assassin. The CIA wanted to know if they could create a sleeper agent, a person programmed to kill on command without any memory of doing so. Project Artichoke tested the limits of human programming, using a mix of hypnosis, drugs, and psychological conditioning to turn people into unwitting assassins. The idea was simple. Implant a trigger deep into someone's subconscious, then activate it with a code word or signal. The person would carry out their mission and then forget everything. Some researchers believe this wasn't just a theory. When Sirhan assassinated Robert F. Kennedy in 1968, he claimed he had no memory of the event. His behavior and hypnosis records suggest he might have been a real-life Manchurian candidate. This raises a terrifying question. How many assassinations, political upheavals, or sudden acts of violence have actually been the result of psychological programming? And if this was possible in the 1960s, what could they be doing now? 5. Project Stargate, the psychic spy program. During the Cold War, intelligence agencies weren't just focused on weapons and espionage. They were obsessed with the possibility that the human mind could access information beyond the physical world. This led to Project Stargate, a classified program run by the CIA and the US Army, designed to explore whether psychic abilities, particularly remote viewing, could be used for military and intelligence purposes. Remote viewing is the supposed ability to see distant locations, events, or people using only the power of the mind. The government didn't dismiss this idea as superstition. Instead, they poured millions of dollars into experiments, believing that if they could train spies to see across the world without ever leaving a room, they would have the ultimate intelligence-gathering tool. The experiments were structured like controlled tests. Subjects, often individuals who already claimed to have extrasensory perception, were placed in isolated rooms and given coordinates or descriptions of unknown targets, sometimes enemy military bases, sometimes secret locations. Without any prior knowledge, they were asked to describe what they saw in their minds. Researchers compared their descriptions to real satellite images or on-ground reports. In some cases, the results were so unnervingly accurate that the military became convinced there was something real at play. One well-documented case involved a remote viewer correctly describing the interior of a hidden Soviet facility, down to the details of a strange crane inside a building. While some results were inconsistent, there were enough startling successes that the project continued for over 2 decades. Stargate wasn't just about intelligence gathering. It was about understanding whether the human mind had untapped abilities beyond normal perception. The CIA recruited individuals with backgrounds in parapsychology, hypnosis, and altered states of consciousness, trying to find ways to enhance these abilities. Some experiments involved meditation techniques, sensory deprivation, and even electromagnetic field exposure to see if they could improve psychic skills, the most unsettling aspect. Even after the program was officially shut down in 1995, many insiders believed the research didn't stop. It just went deeper into classified black-budget projects. If these experiments showed any level of success, would intelligence agencies really abandon them? Or would they simply find more advanced ways to exploit the hidden potential of the human mind? 6. The gateway process, unlocking altered states of consciousness. In the 1980s, the CIA turned its attention to something even more mysterious than mind control, consciousness itself. The gateway process was a classified study into brainwave synchronization, using sound frequencies to alter mental states. This wasn't some fringe experiment. It was conducted by the US Army in collaboration with the Monroe Institute, a research center dedicated to exploring human consciousness. The theory was that by using binaural beats, a person could induce altered states that allowed for deep meditation, enhanced cognitive abilities, and even out-of-body experiences. The process worked by playing 2 slightly different frequencies in each ear, forcing the brain to adjust and synchronize its hemispheres. This was said to create a unique state of awareness where individuals could access hidden knowledge, manipulate their own perception of time, and even separate their consciousness from their physical body. Declassified CIA documents suggest that researchers believed the mind could tap into a higher reality, possibly even influencing physical matter. Soldiers and intelligence personnel were tested to see if they could use these techniques to gain insights beyond normal human capability. What's disturbing is how far the government was willing to push this research. The gateway process wasn't just about relaxation or self-improvement. It was about harnessing consciousness as a weapon. Some theorists believe that elements of this program continued in secret, leading to advancements in psychological warfare, perception manipulation, and cognitive enhancement. If the military found a way to unlock these abilities, would they ever make it public? Or would they keep this knowledge hidden, using it to shape the future of human thought in ways we can't even comprehend? 7. The Montalk Project: Time Manipulation and Mind Control. The Montalk Project is one of the most controversial and terrifying CIA-linked experiments ever whispered about. While official records deny its existence, multiple insiders have come forward claiming that secret military operations at Montalk Air Force Station in New York conducted some of the most extreme mind control and time travel experiments in history. The project allegedly evolved from MK-Ultra, expanding into more advanced and disturbing psychological manipulation techniques. The alleged experiments involved abducting young children, many of them orphans or runaways, and subjecting them to brutal psychological programming to enhance their psychic abilities. These children were reportedly exposed to electromagnetic fields, extreme psychological trauma, and hallucinogenic drugs to test the limits of their minds. Some victims claimed they developed telepathic abilities, remote viewing skills, and even the power to manipulate reality. But the most shocking claim? Some test subjects were said to have been involved in time travel experiments, where they were forced into altered states of consciousness and sent to different points in time. Though no official confirmation exists, many researchers point to declassified government projects that experimented with electromagnetic field manipulation and psychological conditioning as indirect evidence that something happened at Montalk. If these claims are even partially true, it means the government wasn't just interested in controlling the mind. They were trying to control the very fabric of time itself. 8. Project Often: Occult Experiments on the Mind. Most CIA experiments revolved around science, but Project Often blurred the lines between the scientific and the supernatural. According to declassified reports, this program explored the use of occult practices, demonic possession, and supernatural rituals in psychological warfare. The CIA wanted to see if there was any validity to ancient mystical traditions, and if they could be weaponized. Project Often involved working with psychics, astrologers, practitioners of witchcraft, and even members of secret societies to explore whether the human mind could be influenced through ritualistic means. Some documents suggest that the CIA attempted communication with non-human entities, though whether this meant hallucinations, psychic phenomena, or something even darker is unknown. The program allegedly investigated the effects of black magic, voodoo, and ancient mystical texts, trying to determine if these practices could be used to control people's thoughts or actions. What makes Project Often especially sinister is that no one knows how far it went or why it was eventually shut down. If the CIA discovered something truly powerful, would they simply abandon the research, or would they integrate it into deeper classified projects? The fact that a government agency took the occult seriously raises unsettling questions about what they found and whether they're still using it today. 9. The Voice-to-Skull Project: Controlling Thoughts with Technology. Mind control using technology rather than drugs was a goal that intelligence agencies pursued for decades. The Voice-to-Skull Project, also known as V2K, explored the use of microwave frequencies to transmit voices directly into a person's head, bypassing their ears entirely. This wasn't science fiction. Declassified military research confirms that directed energy technology was tested for psychological operations, creating the ability to implant thoughts into a person's mind. The idea was simple but disturbing. If a person heard a voice in their head but had no idea where it came from, they might believe it was a divine message, a subconscious thought, or even their own conscience. The potential applications range from psychological warfare to social manipulation. There are claims that this technology was tested in conflicts where enemy combatants were targeted with disembodied voices, commanding them to surrender or give up information. Some whistleblowers have even alleged that modern-day, targeted individuals experiencing intrusive thoughts or unexplained mental disturbances may be victims of continued experimentation. The fact that military research into directed energy weapons exists is undeniable. What remains hidden is how far the technology has advanced. If the government could implant thoughts into a person's mind decades ago, what might they be capable of today? Could your thoughts truly be your own? Or is there a deeper level of control at play? If you have made it this far, Comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.